Hi everybody, this is Paul B. It's Sunday, January 31st, 2016. And tomorrow, for the first time in a decade, and the only time in my life, I'm going to be unable to pay the storage fee on the place that holds all my family mementos, my childhood memories, everything. I have sold everything I've worked my life for to maintain that. I won't be able to pay car insurance. I have nothing left to work with. When I was growing up, there was a movie that seemed silly and cheesy called It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart. In that film, they spend a lot of time establishing that he's a pretty nice guy, cares about other people. In the end, when he gets in a pickle, I think he needed $5,000, and that's in 1940s money. So he needed about at least 10 times what I need. When he needed it, his friends and neighbors didn't just come over and give him the money he needed. They came over with a huge smile on their face, just joyful. It was a party for them to be able to save the life of their friend. It was the kind of experience you would expect all of them to remember for the rest of their lives as one of the best things they ever did, one of the best things they ever experienced, and certainly for George Bailey, it'd be a memory of a lifetime. In my case, I've sat alone all these months, crying out in the wilderness, putting up videos, putting up the website, visiting churches anywhere I can. Contacted well over 100 churches just in Minnesota alone. And I've gotten a little bit of help here and there, and I'm so grateful for that, but it's always been just very little. What I don't understand is why 5 million Minnesotans, including the people I used to work with, who I considered friends and family back then, why they didn't get together and have a party with a huge smile on their face and throw some money into the hat to save my life. They didn't do that. I got a few offers of some kind of assistance, as long as I accept the balls and chains and strings attached to it, that they blame me for it. I think my website pretty much blows the idea that I was at fault here out of the water. The problem is these people haven't even read the website. They browsed through it, maybe read a few pages, but they don't understand that the website is written like a book. You have to read the whole thing because it tells a story. And what it says on this section and page explains what it says over on this section and page. I'm used to writing books, not websites. The website's like a book. If you don't read the whole thing, you haven't read it at all. And they didn't care enough to read it. They just read parts that looked interesting to them and made their assumptions from there. I did absolutely nothing wrong. I went and I worked hard. I worked extra hours for no extra pay. I came home and just asked to have a life at home that was peaceful. That's all I asked for, nothing else. I didn't ask for anything extraordinary, and I couldn't even get that. And not one person anywhere would stop that noise that destroyed my life. Not one person anywhere would hold the authority figures who refuse to help me and to do their jobs that they're paid to do accountable. Nobody even pointed a finger at them and shamed them. Nobody did anything. The only person who's been talked to in this is me. Why didn't you just move away? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do this? As if they have the foggiest idea what the real circumstances are. Like I said, they don't even read the whole website. They don't even know what they're talking about. Absolutely oblivious. It was a wonderful life. But not because of what I did, but because of what other people did not do. I'm not living the life of a George Bailey. And it is not a wonderful life anymore. I went to a mega church the other day. Didn't want to, but I went to a food pantry where the people were very nice. And one of the women there went to this mega church. She told me to visit them. They have 22 outreach pastors to help people. So I went there, sat down with a woman. She was paid to do this job. She had a set sales pitch, you might call it. She had a stack of papers that listed out all these government agencies, nonprofit organizations and such, that she handed me, and she went through what they are, and to her that was helping somebody. But every time I opened my mouth to try to tell my unique story and what my unique needs are, the needs that would get me out of this once and for all forever, she didn't want to hear it. She would interrupt me and shut me down. She literally did not want to hear it. It was as if she was feeling pain when I tried to explain anything about me as a unique human being to her. The best she could do was refer me to another pastor, Pastor Pat, who she described as, quote, the most compassionate person I've ever met. Well, Pastor Pat, when I went back for the free dinner, couldn't find Pastor Pat. When I called, I couldn't find Pastor Pat. I emailed Pastor Pat, very short, brief meeting request. Asked to meet with her. That was about 6 days ago. Haven't heard a word from Pastor Pat, the most compassionate person this other individual had ever met. That mega church looks like a shopping mall. It's so offensive. It has coffee shops, bookstores. Looks like the inside of my old college student union. I didn't feel the slightest presence of God in that entire building. As soon as I got in my car, I felt the presence of God. This is what Meannesota calls the most caring and compassionate, neighborly, generous, charitable people in the world. I don't understand why people out there, whether they're in Meannesota or the people I've contacted out of the state, I don't understand why they don't want to experience that extraordinary joy of mobilizing, getting together as if it was a party for the opportunity to save another person's life. Not to send them to the Salvation Army, not to send them to the Red Cross or the United Way, not to send them to a $1 billion nonprofit organization that doesn't care if I live or die. But why don't they get together in joy and happiness for the incredible opportunity to save another person's life, the kind of memory they can take with them beyond the grave, they can carry with them for eternity with pride and dignity. And meanwhile, they'll be showing their children how it's done. Instead of showing their children, if someone comes to you with need, you send them to this nonprofit organization that will do nothing for them. I have contacted thousands of people since this happened to me. They didn't help. Now I'm about to lose the only things I have to remember my family, my childhood, the life that was worth living before I moved to Meannesota. All of that is gone. That storage is in California, where I came from. I can't get at it. I can't do anything about it. I looked at the pictures of that storage the other day that I took when I left. Right in front is an engine block. The reason there's an engine block there is because when I left California, I traded in my sports car for a van to move out here. The van blew up on the way home from the dealership, right outside Mount Palomar Observatory, if you know the big 200-inch telescope, out in the mountains. I had to blow all my money sitting for a month over the holidays that year, waiting for a shop where everyone's on vacation to totally rebuild my engine. And they gave me this engine block that I don't need. It's sitting in storage. But behind that are all my old yearbooks, my family photos, everything I have to remember my parents by, who passed away at the time that this noise began, so I've never once been able to grieve their passing. The other half of that storage is all the research I did since 1988. For all the books that I wrote but nobody would publish, even though everything I put in those books has come true in the meantime. My entire life is in that place. And of course I can't afford to pay for the storage locally either, which has what little is left from my life of the last 10 years in Meannesota. I don't understand it. The opportunity to get together, have a party, and save a person's life with a smile on your face, go home, and sleep wonderfully knowing that you just took someone who's in the situation I'm in and you saved their life. Nobody would do it. Not a small church, not a mega church, not strangers, not friends, co-workers. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. There's 7 billion people in this world. In the last year, I've gotten no help, significant help. Why isn't that seen as an opportunity? Why isn't that seen as a chance to really party? Not go out and get drunk and get laid and get disease, but a chance to really party. Instead of bringing out the beer, bring out the punch. Put out the hat and throw some bucks in there. Save a person's life so that I can go out and do it for other people, as I used to, even though no one will do it for me now that I need it. Why don't Americans, why don't people, Minnesotans, I understand, these people are beyond hope, but I have reached out beyond Minnesota an awful lot, and I'm not getting help there either. People, I'm offering you the opportunity to do something that you can carry as a badge of pride for the rest of your life, to save the life of another human being. Not in a trauma room where you're giving them CPR, but giving me what I actually need now. One reason I have these videos, one reason I have the website, is to establish myself as a sane, a sober, a well-educated, articulate, hard-working individual. I'm not walking up to people on the street and just saying, can you give me a few bucks? That's not what I'm doing. I have established myself as someone who would take that assistance and run with it and do something really good with it. That's why I have the website. That's why I have these videos. And yet even a megachurch can do nothing more than treat me like someone who is shooting up, drinking, doesn't want to work at all, doesn't care about anyone in this world but themselves, having babies and throwing them in the dumpster. They'll treat me exactly the same as those people. They pull out that stack of papers and show them, here's where you go, Salvation Army, the United Way, blah, 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 blah. State agencies that won't do a damn thing for a white male, middle-aged white male, but send me packing. I have wasted all my resources approaching these people, and yet some people still have the audacity to come up to me and say, well, you never asked for help. I've been asking for help for a year, all over the place. Other people will say you don't accept help. I have accepted every bit of help I've been offered, except those couple that had those balls and chains and strings attached, where they wanted to stick a knife through my heart and my dignity and try to blame me for something that they haven't even taken the time to learn about. They don't even know what they're talking about. All based on assumptions. So they tell me I'm not accepting help when I don't accept that help that comes with those kinds of strings. That's not help. That's their way of sleeping better at night, because they know they didn't read my whole website. They know that even as they work alongside the very people who did this to me every single day, they don't go up and bitch slap these people. They don't stare them right in the eyes and say, you murdered a man. They just work alongside them. And the way they sleep at night is by offering me assistance that I can't take because they put these balls and chains and strings attached to it. But that's only a few people, very few, 2 really. Other than that, throughout this entire world, other than I've gotten a couple of points of very generous assistance from people of humble means, no less. Homeless people have done more for me than the combined wealth of the entire planet. Homeless people, other people sleeping in cars, have collectively given me more good advice, more resources, food, even money, than all the combined wealth on the entire planet Earth in the 21st century. And you wonder why I sit here and make videos like this? It's because this needs to be said, and this needs to be put out there for people to hear and to think about. I don't know how you people sleep at night watching me die over the last year, watching me lose everything I worked for my entire life, especially when most of that time was spent working for you. Read my website and see what I did. See what I tried to prevent, what is happening to this country today. I was trying to prevent that 20 years ago when people were so asleep, so rolling in their .com dough that they didn't even conceive that this was even possible. I saw it back then, and I tried to help them and their families and their children and their children's children. I sacrificed everything to do that. That's how I ended up with a van that blew up on the way home from the dealership. That's how I got stranded in Meannesota in the first place. I don't know what to say to you people. I don't know what to say. You could have saved my life and you didn't. You could have saved my life and you didn't. You could have saved my life and you didn't.